तो ऐसा है कि आज भी अर्चित नहीं, अरे ऐश चल रही है भाई साहब। मैंने एक टांगों पे खड़े होकर तपस्या की थी और इसलिए अर्चित गायब हो चुके हैं ना, लंबे छुट्टी में भेज दिया गया उन्हें मड्रिड। खैर, अभी पिछले हफ्ते डम्पलिंग हुआ था और ये अभी वीक चल रहा है पूजो का। तो हमने सोचा कि पूजो चल रहा है तो फिर ऐसा मौका क्यों गवाया जाए, और लेट्स टॉक अबाउट पूजो, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट बंगाल, एज इन बंगाल मतलब द होल ऑफ बंगाल, ओके, बांग्लादेश, वेस्ट बंगाल सब मिला के, नॉट जस्ट अबाउट बंगाल, उस पर भी आएंगे। व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन बंगाल एंड बंगाल। तो उसके लिए आई थॉट यार हु अदर देन पिक्चरनामा, और ये पिक्चरनामा विथ के, इसके भी इस पे आएंगे कि भाई ये बंगाली यूजुअली गुड विद देयर इंग्लिश इन जनरल। मेरे तो सारे अंग्रेज जितने भी दोस्त हैं, जितनी भी मैंने किताबें लिखी हैं, एक ही लिखी वैसे तो लेकिन जहां पर भी जितने एडिटर्स जो हैं सब बंगाली होते हैं, तो उनके पिक्चर तो सी से स्टार्ट होते हैं, इनका पिक्चर के से है। सो वी हैव मधुश्री एंड वी हैव आनंद।
हेलो
हेलो
हेलो हेलो
हेलो
और
हेलो।
बस ज्यादा नहीं चिल्लाना नहीं मेरे पे डांटना नहीं मेरे को। अब यूनिक चीज ये है कि दोनों जो है ऐसा माना जाता है, कहा जाता है, सुनी सुनाई बातें हैं, ये कंफर्म कर देंगे दैट दे आर बोथ पोलर अपार्ट, ठीक है। मधुश्री जो है वो बंगाल है और हमारे आनंद जो है वो है आपको घोटी। एक ने मार्केटिंग इन एमबीए किया, सॉरी एमबीए इन मार्केटिंग किया, एक ने एमबीए इन एचआर किया, फिर दोनों ने अचार लगा दिया उसका, बोला दफा कर दो ये सब चीजें यार, अपन फोटो खींचेंगे, चित्रकारी करेंगे। तो इनने शुरू किया फोटो खींचना। फोटो किसकी, ऐसे नॉट ऐसे आम दाम कुछ ऐसे लोगों के नहीं, खानों की, और खाना शुरू किया। और दोनों बिल्कुल ऐसे, आपका ब्लूटूथ पेयर में हो चाहे नहीं हो, ये दोनों हमेशा पेयर में दिखेंगे, ठीक है। अकेले अकेले कहीं ना जाते हैं ये लोग। तो खैर, तो अब इस पे हम डिस्कशन करेंगे, इनके म्यूजिक टेस्ट के बारे में भी डिस्कशन कर लेंगे कि रविंद्र संगीत और लिंकिन पार्क में भी थोड़ा सा, बिकॉज इन दी एंड इट डजंट इवन मैटर। तो हम इस पे करेंगे। तो खैर, वेलकम टू बोथ ऑफ यू। कैसा लग रहा है आपको? मजा आ रहा होगा अब तक तो।
बहुत बहुत मजा आ रहा है सदाफ। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर हैविंग अस।
यही सुनना था।
वी आर रियली रियली हैप्पी टू बी पार्ट ऑफ दिस पॉडकास्ट।
तो ना, एक तो पूजो वीक, तो कैसे बोलते हैं? हैप्पी पूजो नहीं बोलते हैं,
शुभ शारदिया।
शारदिया, अच्छा शारदिया, अच्छा शुभ शारदिया, ठीक है। तो ये तो हो गया, शुभ शारदिया हमने स्टार्ट कर दिया है। तो क्वेश्चन फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, एंड आई रियली आई एम इंटरेस्टेड इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट somebody who is actually, let's थोड़ा सा अपने बारे में बताया था। आई ग्रू अप इन झारखंड बिहार, वेरी क्लोज टू कैलकाटा। तो ऐसा, और झारखंड बिहार बंगाल उड़ीसा खाना ओवरलैप है, नॉट एग्जैक्टली मतलब सेम है, ओवरलैप होता है अक्सर कई चीजों में। तो दैट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल थिंग। तो इन अ वे आई ग्रू अप अराउंड, लाइक ये हमारा अपना एक सब कॉन्टिनेंट है बेसिकली।
यस
So for me, it's also I am also a part of Jharkhand and Bihar because मेरे नाना के तरफ से हर कोई, in fact my mom had done her entire schooling in Patna, Bihar, right? In
हाँ.
Bakepur Girls High School. She was in Bhagalpur, Mokama Ghat and everything because my nana used to work in railways in those days.
Wow.
Which brought in a very interesting food influence to my house when she got married to my father, right? So she normally, I am slowly getting into the thing which you had said, in the sense that Ghotis are known for their sweet tooth. Everything should be sweet. But in my house, very contradictorily, because Ma was born and brought up in Bihar, right? She loved chatpata food. So she never ended her meal. A normal Ghoti, most of the Bengalis would end her meal with a mishti. But Ma never ended her meal with the mishti. वो पूरा प्लेट में, डिनर टेबल में जो भी सबसे चटपटा होगा, मान लो कि एक भज्जी, एक चिकन का पीस और लाइक माइट बी अ ग्रेवी और मटन कौशा, वो लास्ट में खा के शी वुड एंड हर मील, व्हिच इज वेरी वेरी यूनिक।
आई एम टेलिंग यू, सब जगह है बिहारी हैं। हमने ही तो पूरा इन्फ्लुएंस किया है लोगों को। आई ऑलवेज कीप ऑन सेइंग टू पीपल, काफी लोगों को, आई एम श्योर इसमें थ्योरी है, ये कॉन्स्पिरेसी थ्योरी नहीं है, ये रियलिटी है, कोई ना कोई प्रूव कर देगा। कि ऐसे जो मिडिल ईस्ट जो है ना, जहां से हमस वमस आता है, जिस भी जगह से भी कंफ्यूजन है, उनमें भी कंफ्यूजन किसने बनाया है, हमस, लेकिन वो भी बिहारियों ने बनाया बेसिकली। क्यों ऐसा ना, क्यों? ठीक है, क्योंकि देखिए हमस किसका बनता है? हमस चटनी है बेसिकली, छोले की चटनी,
हाँ।
है ना, छोला। और अगर बिहार में आप आएंगे तो छोले और चिकपीस के डेरिवेटिव का बहुत इस्तेमाल होता है। कैसे? सत्तू, सेम डेरिवेटिव, ठीक है। और बिहार में जैसे फलाफल बनता है, राइट? तो बिहार में उसको बोलते हैं कचरी, सेम थिंग, दाल वड़ा, ठीक है, अपन दाल वड़ा बनाते हैं हम लोग, तो वही है। और किस तरीके से, जिस तरीके से बिहारी जो है एक चीज को लेकर अलग अलग तरीके इस्तेमाल करते हैं, वेस्ट नहीं हो जाते हैं, राइट। तो छोला बचा तो छोले को उसके बाद हमस की चटनी बना, हमस बोल के चटनी बना ली, उसी का उन्होंने तल के ऐसे पकौड़ा बना लिया। बिहार में ये सब होता है, ठीक है। ऐसे कच्चा ऑलिव ऑयल वो डालते हैं बिहार में, मस्टर्ड ऑयल डालते हैं, करेक्ट, राइट। तो बनाया बिहार नहीं है मेरा, किसी को बस प्रूफ करने का जरूरत है, मैंने थ्योरी दे दी है, बाकी लोग सबका मैं ही करूंगा, कोई और भी करे तो ये है।
So perhaps the quiz question at the end of this episode, what you can throw up is that why Bengali cuisine and Bengali street food lovers should always remain indebted to Biharis. बोलो बताओ
अभी।
Why? कैसा क्यों?
Why? What is one of the most popular thing in Kolkata? Fuchka. Right?
Correct.
90%. What is who are making them? 90% of the makers of fuchka are who? Biharis.
90 क्या 99%?
तो बिहारीज नहीं होते तो फुचका नहीं होते। चलो मैं आपको दे दिया तकिया कलम।
देखा, मैं बता रहा हूँ, बिहारी है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है एक बिहारी सब पे भारी है, बिहारी ही है, बिहारी ही बिहार है, मतलब अखंड भारत है लेकिन बिहार अखंड बिहार। ये तो है। वैसे पानी पूरी को या फिर फुचका को झारखंड में गुपचुप बोलते हैं। बड़ा क्यूट सा नाम लगता है मुझे गुपचुप। क्यों? क्योंकि थ्योरी सिंपल है, क्योंकि आप ऐसे गुप से खाते हैं, आप चुप हो जाते हैं खाने के बाद, तो गुपचुप होता है। वो कोई रीजन नहीं है। द वेरी यूनिक नेम इज लखनऊ एंड दे कॉल इट पानी बताशा।
पानी बताशा।
क्यों? क्योंकि नफासत भी तो नाम की चीज है ना। सब लोग बोलता है ऐसे फुचका गोलगप्पा है, पानी बताशा बोलेंगे।
Refined. Everything is refined.
डालेंगे वही बॉम्बे वाला रगड़ा उसके अंदर लेकिन बोलेंगे पानी बताशा। खैर, तो फ्रॉम आवर म्यूचुअल लव फॉर बिहार वी कम टू बंगाली फूड। अब somebody who, एक तो नॉर्थ का जो इशू है मोस्टली से दिल्ली अराउंड का, कि कुछ भी नॉर्थ के बियॉन्ड जो भी है ना, वो एक ही टाइप का टाइप कास्ट किया जाता है कि अगर आप बंगाली हैं तो आप मछली खाते हैं, और अगर आप साउथ में हैं तो आप इडली सांबार खाते हैं, और अगर आप कहीं और से बिहार से हैं तो आप लिट्टी चोखा खाते हैं, ठीक है। बट आई लाइक बंगाली फूड फॉर डिफरेंट रीजन, आई विल कम टू दैट एज वेल, कि आखिर क्यों। एंड आई ऑल्सो फाइंड बंगाली टू बी रियली up close and personal about their food, कि उनके फूड से किसी ने पंगा लिया तो भाई साहब फिर
will hit you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember there was this one YouTube video which I did where I was making party shopta. I love party shopta. But पता है मुझे एंड में ये क्लैरिटी देनी पड़ी वीडियो एंड पे कि दिस इज माय वर्जन ऑफ पार्टी शप्ता, ताकि लोग ये ना बोले कि पार्टी शप्ता से नहीं बनता है।
Yes.
तो फिर अब फॉर अ नॉन बंगाली, हाउ वुड यू डिफाइन फूड, कि अच्छा बंगाली फूड ये है नॉन बंगालीज के लिए, और कुछ एक जो कॉमन मिथ है, जैसे मैंने बोला कि अच्छा बंगाली हो तो मछली खाते हो, क्या ही खाओगे तुम, तो वो क्या है, राइट? एंड देन वील कम टू द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द गोटी एंड द बंगाल फूड।
So I'll start with, and then you can take it up. Right. So Bengali food, if I have to really summarize Bengali food, I would say we really focus on our seasonal produce, focus on keeping the true taste of the ingredient, on focusing on the ingredient more than adding too many spices. That is why our cooking technique is very simple. We sort of rely on whole spices to temper the food. We call it foron, which normally tadka in North Indian food we put in the end. Hamara tadka shuru mein jata hai. And of course, mustard oil is the ruling oil. Without mustard oil, half of your Bengali food is, it won't even taste the same. So in a nutshell, we focus on whole spices. We focus on the taste of the ingredient. For every single thing that we have, for every single vegetable, there is a kind of a rule book that you're supposed to cook it in this tempering. You're supposed to cut it in a certain way, a certain vegetable. You go here and there and you will have, people trolling you for not doing it right.
So to simplify it, the same vegetable when used in different torkari, as we call it, it has to have, and it's like an SOP. You cannot deviate.
Also focus on a very balanced kind of a diet. So we have our vegetables, we have our lentils, we have our
bitters,
we have all our, we have our proteins. We have fish every day. It's only on Saturdays and Sundays that we rely on chicken or mutton or, eggs are sort of, of course, we have eggs every day. I mean, our food is very balanced. You have the sweet, you have the sour, you have the bitter, you have the spicy, you have the really light, thin gravies. And depending on the season, the kind of food that is cooked also changes.
Okay.
So,
Very, very important part. Another part is that a lot depends on the local producers. Not to forget that Bengal is primarily a water body centric state, right? In terms of the rivers and seas that we have,
in the ponds.
on the ponds also, right? So there are meals where now when we look back, we can see that there are meals which is all about that how things got foraged in and around the pond. Not only a prawn or a fish from the pond, the things which grow around the pond, like a water lily stem, those were also used in cooking.
So is it then a myth or a reality or a stereotype that Bengalis matlab they only eat fish or they mostly eat fish?
Yeah.
This is absolutely myth and a stereotype both, because one of the most, take me on record, I always say one of the most undermined cuisine and area of food which is not spoken when we speak about Indian cuisine is Bengali vegetarian cuisine.
Correct.
It's so rich, it's so varied, it's so seasonal, it's so tasty, right? It's a myth most of the people don't understand, they don't know is that on a regular basis, we may have one fish, but we have two sabzis in the same plate.
Every day, there is, most Bengalis would have fish every day. Yes. Having said that, but there is also at least two vegetables which also we have every day. We never have just fish curry and rice. That's not our meal. We'll always have at least, like in the olden days, or forget olden days, even 20 years for our mother, like his mom, my grandparents, they have always had 6-course, 7-course meals. But for us, working people, we don't have as much time. We have cooks most of the time to cook for us, or we do it at night. So for us, but there's always 3 to 4 things. We never do it with just one fish curry rice.
Also,
that doesn't happen.
Also, the vegetables would not get repeated in consecutive days, perhaps in a week. Oh my God, if you do that, you are hanged. From the smallest member of the family to the senior most, everyone would express their dissent in as many ways as possible. Ye kya khana laye ho? You give them the same fish, it's okay. Perhaps you give them the same fish, it's okay, right? But not the same vegetable. So
the same fish also cooked differently. You can't have the same gravy every day. The same jhol cannot be cooked every day. It's not, that doesn't happen.
I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and 2-3 दिन पहले we were just chilling together. तो ऐसे work from that place चल रहा था, उसके घर से था. तो हमारे घर पे भिंडी बनी थी, तो मैं भिंडी लेके चला गया. उसके घर पे कुछ उसने एक्चुअली उसने खाना बनाया था, तो मैंने भिंडी ले लिया, भिंडी एंड जो आलू की सूखी सब्जी, आलू की भुजिया जिसको बोलते हैं, तो वो था अलग अलग. ठीक है, नॉट भिंडी आलू, बट भिंडी अलग, आलू अलग. दैट आई टुक, सो वी हैड दैट. देन उसके नेक्स्ट डे शी मेड भिंडी. देन कल रात को वी वर जस्ट टॉकिंग, हे व्हाट्स अप, ऑल गुड, एंड देन शी वाज मेकिंग भिंडी. एंड आई एम लाइक, यार इतनी भिंडी तो मुझे भी नहीं पसंद है यार. Like, how can you eat bhindi 3 back-to-back days, consecutive days? So, हमारे यहाँ तो blasphemy नहीं है, लेकिन clearly, if you are in a Bengali household, then it's blasphemy.
So my son would very, very simply say, "Abar shei boring food."
I can't.
Abar means once again. Abar shei boring food. Abar shei bhindi. हाँ, मतलब फिर से abar.
हाँ, नहीं पता नहीं, मतलब भिंडी तो ओके है, चलो आलू भी ठीक है. ऐसे बिहारी, ऐसे झारखंड पसंद.
I think the only vegetable, I think that's in winters, that we have cauliflower almost in every meal. And like we add cauliflower to fish, we add cauliflower to a chachori, we just make cauliflower sabji, we make cauliflower with potatoes. So I think cauliflower is the only acceptable vegetable which has a serious repeat value through winters.
So winters mein cauliflower becomes aloo.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before the important question that I mentioned, because you mentioned about Madhushree, the masala, panch phoron, right? Or panch phoron. How do you define, because Bengali garam masala is different than a regular garam masala, like an Awadhi garam masala, or like whatever the Shahi garam masala means, right? So how would you define what goes in panch phoron and what goes in a Bengali garam masala?
I'll tell you, let me take you through the spice rituals that we have. The most commonly used spice is your kala jeera or nigella seeds.
Yeah.
That, along with green chilies, is the most basic tempering that is used in almost like 50% of the cooking can be done with just kala jeera and green chilies. And you just have to add the vegetables, add salt, we add a little bit of sugar to most of our vegetarian food just to give it that balance.
Yeah.
And haldi. That's it. You don't need anything.
Yeah.
That is the kind of simple cooking I'm talking about. Panchphoron, on the other hand, it has got a blend of spices. So we've got kala jeera over there. You've got cumin. You've got coriander. You've got mustard. And you've got methi. Now, all of them in equal quantities. Only methi is little less, of course, because methi will make it more bitter. So methi kam hota hai. But here again, there are two types of panchphorons. The one that the Bangals make, one that the Ghotis make. So the Bangals use radhuni instead of mustard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I do that. Again, I'm mentioning I do that.
आते हैं, उस पे भी आते हैं.
Yeah. ठीक है. So, and radhuni is a spice that you don't get everywhere. So, for quite a long period of time, I was in Pune. We were in Pune for 4 years?
4 years.
4 years. So, you wouldn't get radhuni there. Hence, I used to replace radhuni with mustard seed. But in Kolkata, when we do panchphoron, we have radhuni there as well.
Okay.
But this is basically panchphoron. Panchphoron is again one spice blend. Bengali garam masala. It's just 3. That's green cardamom, cloves, and cinnamon. Simple. Just the combination of 3 of them. And when we do the garam masala powder, we don't even roast it. We
अच्छा.
just blend the 3.
ये तीनों चाय मसाला नहीं हो गया?
It's such a simple flavor profile, but it's very powerful when you add a little bit of garam masala just in the end, the garam masala powder. And the whole spices, we use it in tempering. So right in the beginning, you use the whole spice. And in the end, you add just a pinch of the garam masala, you add a little bit of ghee, and that's it. And give it one boil, and that's enough to give you a really nice, fragrant meal. A little excess and the food goes bad. That's with most garam masalas that way.
Correct. Now, there's something interesting because, you said three masalas makes garam masala. It's not really garam then. But when it comes to our Muslim family, the garam masala I make, I put anywhere between 12 से 15 मसाले उसके अंदर.
Exactly.
तो खिचड़ी बन जाती है भाई मसाले की.
We've got bhaja moshla, which is again another.
अच्छा, ये कौन है? हाँ, ये क्या है?
Bhaja moshla is, bhaja means frying. So basically you dry roast the masalas and then you make a powder of it. तो वहाँ पर आपका तेज पत्ता जाता है, dry red chili जाता है, coriander seeds, cumin seeds, fennel seeds, and a little bit of methi. That's that's your bhaja moshla. And that one, we use it, it's more like a chaat masala. You use that like a chaat masala, like in aloo dum. Or even when you make a, ghol or a lassi, like the buttermilk that we have, you add a little bit of bhaja moshla to it. Or you add that to your chutneys. Our chutneys, which are all sweet. So you have bhaja moshla in our chutneys. So that's kind of the thing.
मैं ऐसे लाइफ लेसन देना चाहता हूँ लोगों को कि जिंदगी में ना कॉन्फिडेंस कैसा होना चाहिए इंसान के पास, वैसा कॉन्फिडेंस जैसा तेज पत्ता के पास होता है. हर चीज में कमबख्त घुस जाता है. सबसे पहले फ्लेवर कुछ नहीं, जीरो नील बटे सन्नाटा, लेकिन भाई कॉन्फिडेंस देखिए बिल्कुल आसमान फाड़ के. तो ऐसा ही तेज पत्ते वाले कॉन्फिडेंस सब में चाहिए. भले आपके अंदर कुछ ना हो, लेकिन बोलने कम्युनिकेशन स्किल इज एवरीथिंग.
सही में.
तो अब आते हैं, बिकॉज यू सेड माई फूड एंड Anindya's फूड. सो अपना टर्न ले लीजिए और बता दीजिए कि बंगाल फूड क्या है और घोटी फूड क्या है. फिर हम तलवारें निकाल लेंगे और डिसाइड कर लेंगे कि विच इज बेटर, बंगाल फूड की घोटी फूड. ठीक है, तो मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कौन स्टार्ट करेगा, बट बता दीजिए जब अपने हिसाब से.
Okay, once upon a time it was undivided Bengal.
Correct.
Food was cooked differently in different regions, right? So now what has happened after the division has happened, right? The part which is now falling in Bangladesh, which was erstwhile a part of Bengal, right? They used to cook it differently anyways. And people who are towards this side, so I would say Bardhaman, Bankura, these are the districts. Bardhaman, Bankura, Birbhum, Kolkata, Hooghly, right? इनका खाना बनाने का तरीका अलग था और उनके अलग था, right? जब बंटवारा नहीं हुआ था तब सभी कुशल मंगल, हाई हेलो, भाईचारा से चल रहा था. क्या हुआ? Very sore points in Indian history from a human point of view, where the partition happened and overnight people were felt homeless, left homeless. They didn't know which part to go. And a large migratory population had to were completely derooted and they came to this side to be in part of India and not to be a part of East Pakistan, which was then when the first thing happened, right? So once they came in, right, it was very, very tough for the local people over this side to adjust, accommodate, and appreciate and acknowledge cooking style, food habits, and cooking and everything. So this entire tussle which has started, the one-up man game between both the clans, comes from there, right? It was at its peak, perhaps 1 or 2 generations above us, or like 1 generation above that. For our generation, like what has happened, eventually, lot of the families got married in between them. So,
Cross-cultural things
lot of
happen, yeah.
households started having a Bengal and a Ghoti member. So slowly and slowly, both became the integrated part of life. So that strong thing, anything new in our life, we object. The first thing, any change in your life is object. So tomorrow, if I say to the world that Sadaf is going to shave off his beard and he will look like a hero, Hira Lal, you will object first. You
I will
cannot
look like a
accept the
kid.
change.
मैं
Right.
बिल्कुल झल्ला दिखूंगा.
So it's the same way for our generation. I think most of our generation, there are the small banters which still happens, but on a serious note, it goes on to show that how enriched the cuisine is. That two distinct styles of cuisine, the same vegetable can be made in two different ways. Different ingredients can be used to makes it so beautiful. Makes it so beautiful. So Ghoti, again, the stereotypes are, the Bangals would say that they don't know how to cook a fish for living.
True.
See, she agrees.
That's 100% true, sir.
Why? Because apparently we fry a fish
Too much.
before it too much, and they have the capacity and they know that the fish can be steamed, the fish can be half cooked, it can be made in different ways.
Fish is very delicate.
Delicate, right? So
So
see,
you have to handle it delicately.
number 2, we will come to that. Number 2, Ghotis are, and I being a true blue Ghoti, a Mohun Bagan supporter, for everyone who is listening to this, they would understand what is a Mohun Bagan and she is an East Bengal, right?
Perfect.
Which are the top 2 football clubs, right?
Correct.
Ghotis add sugar or gur to
Good.
everything.
Yes.
I will subscribe to that. My mom says, when she, again from Bihar, right, where she has grown up eating that food which was slightly on the spicier side, and there were cooks which were from Bihar, right? They would cook in a different way. When she got married, my grandma found all of a sudden she was making dal, normal dal. Or ant mein, before she would take it off the unun or like the clay pot oven, right? She saw that she's taking out this lump of gur and dropping into the dal, right? My dad never ever, be it lunch or dinner, will end his meal without sweet. Never ever. Matlab wo sweet dahi mein bhi he will add sugar and he will make it sweeter and then he will have it, right? But yes, it's true. The Ghotis used to add more sugar
They still
in their food.
their palate is sweeter. So, the food in a lot of Calcutta restaurants, you'll find it's very sweetish kind of even right, non-veg food, the vegetarian food especially is very sweet, on the sweet side. Whereas we Bangals, we don't add, we add sugar, but it's just to little bit balance the spice, the spice level, but never to make the food too sweet. And
Myth number three, right? We play around. Our zone of comfort in fish is hardly 2, 3, 4, 5 maximum.
It's not a myth. It's the truth. It's the truth. I'll come to that. I'll tell you. See, Ghotis, they were always, we are the son of the soil and we are all superior people.
We are the gift of God to mankind.
Yeah, we are the superior. The Bengali Bhadra log, that comes from, Ghotis. Okay. So they have very limited, when it comes to fish, they would just have their rui, katla, ilish mach, of course, ilish mach is common to both sides, and a few other maybe fish. But when it comes to small fish, Bengal has such a wide variety of small fish as well as catfish varieties. Now, Bangladesh has got much more estuaries and rivers, like water bodies are more that side. So hence, Bangals always, traditionally we've eaten a lot of small fish varieties. Also, when the partition happened and then they came to West Bengal, There was also the economic part of it,
The
where
crisis, because
there was,
people were
you know,
jobless.
they were jobless. They didn't have money, so they couldn't afford the big fish, which was more expensive. So they would eat a lot of these small fish. They would eat a lot of offals. A ghoti would never eat an offal.
Huh.
Never.
It's an awful thing for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
घोटी would be like नाम में ही awful है, क्यों खाए?
Yeah.
So these are the kind of things. So we Bangals, we had a lot of. That's why we traditionally. I grew up eating so many varieties of fish. There were some that after we got married, that he tasted few of the fish for the first time.
Which is true. Which is true.
Even the non-scaly fish, like a boal or an R, which is like a catfish, and they are big, okay, and they don't have scales. They're this little slimy kind of texture.
So my mom always used to say that
it's like for them, it is like beneath.
It's like it's not a fish. It's like a slimy animal types, and how can you have you on your plate, right? And I think dad and mom never had those fishes till such time they were alive. Although it got cooked at home.
I've got Ma to
taste on them. Baba never.
Baba did not have.
So they would never have.
Yeah.
So
I'm saying interestingly, because while growing up in Bihar, जिस तरीके से बिहारी मछलियां बनती है, they would also fry it. Like all the fishes. Like it doesn't matter which fish, but they would fry all of them. So I'm assuming there is like a cross culture there. But the other thing is about the offal as well. So a Bihari would also eat offal, right? Ab jo matha, the muri or tail, right? I don't know if it's eaten in ghotis.
Muro is eaten. Fish is precious. Fish is eaten, the head to tail, everything is consumed. Okay. So the fish head, we normally use it in dal, we use it in chachori.
We use it in torkari.
Yeah, or any torkari. Or we sometimes, while we are making the fish curry, we add the fish head also. There's always one person in the family who would be eyeing the fish head.
So in a Bengali household, normally what happens is that there are people assigned to parts of the fish, and they're being considered expert in it. It's like in a cricket team, koi opener rahega, someone will be a death bowler. Waise hai ki who will take the head, who will take the tail, because tail is the more complicated part. So I have seen my mom only handling it throughout her life. It may be very, very gender biased, it may be very, very patriarchal or whatever, right? But I have seen her handling it throughout her life. But Baba used to have the muro. And very, very important part when it comes to fish head, right? We keep joking this, that most of the Bengali bachas, while they're growing up, they are being told this myth / whatever. If you eat the fish's eye, your eyes will never go bad. It will never be spoiled. And choke.
And if you have fish head, you will have
buddhi.
Correct. My mother used to say the same thing. So I don't really enjoy fish, to be very frank. But my mother would always, but apart from the fried one, क्यों? क्योंकि बड़ी मेहनत लगती है खाने में मछली को, स्पेशली कांटे वाले को. तो ना, माय मदर वुड ऑलवेज से दिस कि आंखें खाओगे तो आंखें तेज होंगी, और दिमाग खाओगे तो दिमाग तेज होगा. तो मैंने उनको लिटरली ले लिया. फिर मैंने मछली का दिमाग नहीं, इंसानों का दिमाग खाना, मतलब नॉट लिटरली, आई एम नॉट ईटिंग पीपल्स ब्रेन, जस्ट सेइंग. लोग सुन के बोलेंगे आई एम नहीं, मैन ईटर नहीं है मैं.
यू बिकम हैनिबल.
बट हाँ, दिस वाज द थिंग इन बिहार झारखंड सर कि मूढ़ी खाओ. बट ऑल्सो आई रिमेम्बर रीडिंग समवेयर कि जो मछली है, जैसे आपने कहा मधुश्री, दैट फिश हेड इज सेक्रेड, राइट? व्हाट आई हैव heard कि अलग अलग जो body of fish is given to different people. Like head is for the head of the family or something of that sort, right?
Yeah.
Tail is for kids or
no, the women.
The women.
The women folk.
These were the practices we are talking about 40, 50, 100 years back.
Correct.
So as a society, we were very regressive. We were in a society, we have read, right, that we all know that in Bengal, widows were being treated as an outcast. That is a separate chapter which will come later. Right? But perhaps also the women of the family were at that point of time were not even allowed to sit the same time along with the male members of the house. Right?
Children who would
so everyone of the family will eat, and finally the women were left to leftovers.
So the tail was always a leftover.
You know, a very, very interesting thing is that it's said, we have read, I have heard that when women would go to cook food for themselves, वो जो उनुंजा रहता था ना, like the clay pot oven ना, उसका जो heat था, वो आँच पूरा धीमा होके ना, मतलब थोड़ी रहती थी, उनमें से उनको जो बनाना है इधर उधर का डाल के थोड़ा सा फोरेजिंग करके अपने लिए वो लोग बना लेते थे.
Correct. So I'm talking about like years back.
Years back.
But years back, I think this was similar to, I mean, I wouldn't say only in Bengali, but I think many of the cultures had the same thing. And in fact, abhi bhi hai, where the women usually eat last.
Yeah.
Right? Or cooking is the women's job.
Yeah.
So, abhi bhi kafi jagahon pe hai. Of course, we are still fighting for it.
Yeah.
But that reminds me, what you mentioned about the head for the head. तो अब बंगाल का कॉफी कल्चर है, ठीक है, तो कॉफी हाउस कल्चर which sort of started up. Now this was for the men, so to speak, जहां पे men जाते हैं, बड़ी बड़ी दुनिया की बातें करते हैं. But where would the Marxism, all the literature and stuff. But where would the women folks go? उनका कहाँ पे ऐसे किटी पार्टी चलती थी उनकी?
नहीं, कहाँ है?
अच्छा, उनकी नहीं है.
नहीं है.
So there's no women chilling out culture.
The only thing I believe, the only thing which contributed, so उनका तो किटी पार्टी तभी था नहीं, right?
Whatever.
But the only place which brought in a safer environment for women to bhadralok women to go out and have food were perhaps the cabins. The cabins saw these people who were considered as a safer place for the couple and the woman to go in and have food, right? Okay. So that contributed over there.
But that was only in Calcutta.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, and that also most of the middle class families or lower middle class, upper middle class families where only the rich people would go, right, to eat out.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for a fact that my mother, while she grew up, she's never gone out and eaten ever. They've never gone to any restaurant because it was only for rich people or the upper middle class or high society who would go to the restaurants.
There were two reasons. One was that there were very few places to eat out. There were very few places to eat out in those days, right? We go beyond Calcutta because when we speak about Bengal, we have to look beyond Calcutta. There were very, very few places to eat out, right? And also eating out was not the culture.
Eating out was never the culture.
In a middle class Bengali home, eating out was not the culture. If we flip back to 60s, 50s, 40s and stuff like that, who are these people who used to eat out? Most of them who would have seen the world a little bit confident to go into a place where might be the British and the foreigners are also sitting and they have the money to do it, right? Otherwise, eating out was not that majorly a culture.
But I'll tell you, Sadaf, I remember even as a child, my grandmother would be like, if there's anybody coming home, any guest, anytime, even unannounced, no one would ever go out and buy something because mishti shops, mishti dokan, you get Radha Bollubi and Chola Dal and Luti Chola Dal in most of the surrounding shops or Shingara for that matter, like the samosa. Yeah. But my grandmother would like, if somebody's come home, I have to cook it.
Yeah.
No matter what, we cook it ourselves.
As a mother responsibility.
बाहर से खाना नहीं आएगा.
Yeah.
So what would be the food that the cabin is providing?
Okay. So the cabin would have a very interesting parts of, most of them would be 100 years old or nearing 100 years. The ones which are still surviving, like a Niranjan Agar, like a Mitro Cafe, like a Boshanto cabin and stuff.
But they don't have the cabin and the parda anymore.
They don't have the cabin.
Cabins are like these cubicles with a parda.
Right.
So all that is gone now. You don't have the parda anymore.
Most of them are takeaway, and there were cabins also which would be like a very small sitter of 2, 4, 6 or 8 people, like that, max to max. They would have an interesting thing of, let's say, a mutton chop, fish kobiraji. Boshanto cabin is often been considered as a place from where it was a challenge between, it's a myth again. Kobiraji in itself has got so many versions that no one can place a finger in which one is the correct version. One says that it comes from coverage. One says it comes from the fact is that because there was a challenge between chef of Boshanto cabin, whose name was Boshanto, if I'm not wrong, and Rabindranath Tagore, to make something to please him because he was not happy and stuff like that. Since he nodded his head in appreciation, it was Kobi, which is Kavi, and Raji, means egg grade. So Kobe Raji. So we don't know. It's all myths, right?
Story.
But there would be Demet Devil, which is the Bengali version of the Scotch egg, right? There will be mutton chop. There would be Mughlai parotas. There would be fish fry. Mostly chatpata, easy finger foods.
Yeah, like a jol khabar, like an evening snack kind of.
Correct. Nice. So that's interesting because it gives like a good perspective of how things were. And I think Kebin is a very in Jharkhand at least. I mean Jharkhand at least. Bihar jab tak main 12 saal ka tha, phir Jharkhand ban gaya tha wo. We also had such things. There was a very popular, very close to my house, there was a very popular restaurant called Tandoori Hut. Okay, and as you say, उसमें पहले से ही हट था. तो वो केबिन ही था, वहां ऐसे लैला मजनू ही आते थे. या फिर अंडर एज किड्स जिनको दारू पीनी होती थी. सो दे वुड गो देयर और वैसे बाहर से लगा दिया गया, पर्दा लगा दिया गया और अंदर आपका क्या गुलछर्रे उड़ा दो. नोबडी, आई मीन फुल प्राइवेसी सिक्रेसी आपको मेंटेन की जाएगी. और आपने जब तक नहीं बोला होगा तब तक बंदा आएगा ही नहीं. तो बड़े वो इंटरेस्टिंग. और उसके बाद ऐसे देखा देखी जो है कुछ साइबर कैफे जब शुरू में था नहीं, साइबर कैफे मतलब ऑफ कोर्स 2 ही 3 चीजें होती थी. तो उसमें भी फुल प्राइवेसी दिया जाता है आपको. कुछ एक आई रिमेम्बर, कुछ एक तो केबिन से ओपन केबिन से और कुछ एक थे पर्दे वाले केबिन. तो वहां पर भी ऐसे लैला मजनू जाते थे. तो ये झारखंड का केबिन कल्चर था. नॉट इवन झारखंड का बट मोर लाइक हमारे एरिया का केबिन कल्चर था.
Right.
तो अभी because we started with this entire Utsav thing, right? Or Utsav. Now I think the entire Pujo is so unique. कुछ एक ही festivals होते हैं जिसको कि I think वो in a way ना agnostic बन जाता है. Agnostic मतलब
where it's not to do with the god or the goddesses.
Exactly, right?
It's just the entire celebration.
It's a celebration where everyone will come. Irrespective of your religion.
Correct.
Right? Christmas being one, Diwali being another, and Pujo being the third one, right? Everybody. I mean, Eid to an extent, but वो बात की बात है.
But I think it is.
In Calcutta, it is. It is. In Calcutta, it is.
It is insane. Everybody goes crazy over Halim, and it's all about the food. And you go to Zakaria Street, and you will eat all the kebabs from the different kebab shops. It's madness.
People from every spheres of life, from all the different religions, right? I'm not trying to make it very sensitive, but the way everyone else speaks about the iftari, right? And the food, right? Perhaps we can claim that we make it more popular than the root, everyone. And that's best part of Calcutta. This city is for the last 300, 400, 500 years have seen so many cultural influences and interventions in the city, right?
Nice.
Yet has been able to stand its ground, embracing everyone and making a canvas where each color is present. That makes this city so unique, right?
Correct. True. I mean, I think that's the beautiful part about Calcutta. I've always find like it's still stuck in time. So of course, there's modern things happening, but not at the same pace that, let's say, for example, other cities.
Completely agree with you there.
But two unique parts of Durga Puja, since you are speaking before we come to perhaps the largest or the second or third largest carnival which can happen if you see in terms of the number of people who are doing and everything. Most importantly, the largest festival of road art installation. Think in those terms. कहाँ पे होता है ऐसा?
True. So I think 2-3 जगह पे ना, which is very interesting because like you associate Pujo with pandal or as English में say pandals. तो ऐसे pandal या pandal hopping. I remember growing up, of course, हमारा pandal hopping भी चलता था. It's only growing bigger and bigger. तो अभी I was watching some news में कि one of the pandals Vatican City बना दिया या फिर और Lords का स्टेडियम बना रखा है लोगों ने. So which is so beautiful, right? And that was same used to be in Ranchi and the places that I was growing up in Jharkhand. Second, of course, is the same thing is happening in Maharashtra with the Ganesh Utsav. I think, and this is my limitation of knowledge, so people who are listening to me, that in Maharashtra you have the enormous, huge Ganesh idol. But they may or not be doing things around the pandal.
Absolutely, you're right about that.
The third one is with Muslims, for example, when they do the Muharram processions, right? तो वो भी जो है उस तरीके से ही evolve होता है. That how it's no more just one thing, ताजिया बना दिया, but now ताजियाज are being made, झांकी जिसको बोलते हैं, वो अलग-अलग किस्म की झांकियां निकल रही हैं. But rightly pointed out on there that the installation, जिस तरीके से, I
Yeah.
think so pandal is about the god,
Yeah.
but for people who are not necessarily going for the god or for pujo, it's a huge thing for them to just
Yeah.
see
Who
the
also
pandal.
admire the art.
Who are the people who are making
art.
it?
Yeah. No, I'll tell you what. For us, most of the people in Kolkata who go pandal hopping, it's not to see Durga, it's just to see or admire and appreciate the art which goes behind
Correct.
in creating these beautiful pandals. And there are some, like last year or a couple of years before COVID, you remember there was like a 1 kilometer road that where students from
Overnight.
the art culture
So I was-
overnight.
So I was about to come
Yeah.
to that who are the people who are making it? Very interesting trivia. When we go and we catch up with the people in the initial days painting and everything, these are not your decorators. All of them are first or second year students of proper art college.
Art college.
So
Wow.
tomorrow, these are the guys who are going to become artists, and you see them working live.
That's beautiful work.
So there is a pre-
Alpona.
Yeah.
The students created 1 kilometer. And then I was like, hopefully, they will not allow cars to go over it because it's
Of
so beautiful. It's so
Overnight, they made 1 kilometer road of Alpona, and how many hands came on deck to do that?
Correct.
There is Pujo, and Pujo. But then what happens is that there is a pre-Pujo, there is a post-Pujo also, which has got very human angle. These art students, they are getting the biggest canvas to express themselves, their drawings, right? Someone is giving you where you guarantee a lakh footfall every day. As an art student, I will lap it up. That was
Correct.
1 lakh footfall aa raha hai mere kaam dekhne ke liye.
Correct.
Imagine
Correct.
that, right?
The huge thing.
And then there is this entire procession and this entire thing of the immersion, which happens after that. We will come to that later. But then, yes, what happens is that it's largest art installation on earth, which can happen in 4 days.
Yeah. It's just a beautiful thing. On that happy note, I'm going to take a break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about the Pujo food or Utsav food. तो लेते हैं break. हेलो एंड वेलकम बैक. आज बड़ी पेट भर के भूख लगने वाली बातें हो रही हैं. लिटरली मुझे भूख लग रही है अब तो. और अब जाना पड़ेगा पंडाल हॉपिंग और पूजो फूड खाने के लिए. तो जान लेते हैं कि आखिर उत्सव फूड जो है किस तरीके का डिफरेंट होता है. लाइक द रीजन ऑफ आल्सो आस्किंग दिस क्वेश्चन इज दैट ड्यूरिंग रमजान ऐसा खाना अलग नहीं बनता है रोड पे. सेम खाना मिलता है, अलग जैसे स्केल अलग हो जाता है. कुछ एक चीजें, मतलब अगर आप 5 चीजें खा रहे हो ना पुरानी दिल्ली या फिर कहीं से भी, तो आपको 5 चीजें जो आप पहले खाए थे वही अभी मिलेगा. 2-3 चीज एक्स्ट्रा ऐड हो जाती हैं अमूमन. बट दैट्स व्हाट आई वांट टू आस्क बोथ ऑफ यू, दैट पहला तो कि क्या कुछ अलग सर्व होता है, और सेकंड कि एक तो पूजो है, एक ऑफकोर्स दुर्गा पूजा है, राइट, लेकिन उसके बियॉन्ड भी काफी सारे पूजो हैं, काफी सारे छोटे बड़े उत्सव होते रहते हैं. तो उनमें क्या खाना अलग अलग सर्व किया जाता है या फिर अमूमन खाना एक ही जाता है?
See, more or less, the major food is the same. It's the traditional Bengali, which is the celebratory food, which is normally cooked. But like Durga Puja is characterized by the Durga Puja bhog, the bhuni khichudi, along with the labra, along with maybe a badakufir ghonto, and there are 5 kinds of bhaja, and then the paish. Like that bhuni khichudi is not usually cooked around the year. It's usually cooked only when there is a pujo.
Achha.
And it's called Bhoger Khichudi.
And it's called Bhoger Khichudi or Bhuni Khichudi, where you dry roast the moong dal and cook it with Govind Bhog chai. And again, not too many spices, very minimal spices, but the essence of this khichudi is the slow cooking. It takes time to make Bhuni Khichudi. It's not the pressure cooker fat wala, jhat jaldi wala khichdi. It's something you have to cook slowly. You have to keep adding water and slowly so that creamy, sort of a risotto kind of a texture comes out.
Govindo Bhog, of course, will give you that beautiful
and
texture.
so fragrant, so fragrant.
Correct.
And along with it, the labra. Again, labra, it's a kind of a chochori. It's a mishmash of different kinds of vegetables. But the labra in Durga Puja and the labra in Lokhi Puja, which is 15 days from, it's earlier. Right after Durga Puja ends, we have Lokhi Puja. So our Lokhi Puja is not Diwali. Our Lokhi Puja happens before Diwali. Our Diwali is Kali.
Our Diwali is Kali Puja, where you need to have non-veg, mutton. Because Kali Ghat mein, काली घाट में जहाँ पे
मटन।
माँ काली रहती है, every day there a fish and a mutton needs to be.
Nice.
So Lokhi Pujo mein labra is not cooked with turmeric powder, whereas Durga Pujo mein labra is cooked with turmeric powder.
Any
Then
reason
again,
for that?
I have no idea.
Acha.
Sadaf, really, I have asked this to many people. Nobody is able to tell me. Again, another thing is that there are a lot of these really old zamindar baris in Bengal, like in Calcutta also. So every house has their, few unique recipes which are cooked only during the days of the Durga Puja. Every house, every zamindar family.
Yeah.
But in general, I would say the street food thing, everybody sort of those 4 days, we kind of forget all our diet restrictions.
Correct.
We forget everything. We just enjoy the food, whatever we get.
Yeah.
There's a lot of street food. Nobody cooks at home.
Acha.
Nobody
For the
cooks at
whole
home.
4 days.
Yeah, nobody cooks at home.
Wonderful.
It's either because most of the communities have got, the whole Pujo-r bhog and different kinds of menus which are being served in most of the communities.
The
Or
other
you are
part
going
also
out and eating. There's a lot of street food because if you're going pandal hopping, you would be eating all the street food.
Correct.
And but then yes, having said that, there are also many Bengali homes where they are strictly vegetarian during these days, or on Ashtami especially. Ashtami is a day when I think 50-60% of the Bengalis they follow vegetarian, even if not like
officially vegetarian. So
bahar jaake kha lo, kuch bhi khana hai.
So I was asking this to my social media followers a few days back, is that every youth growing up in Calcutta and Bengal have done this one bit of lie in their lifetime about food, where they have come back home, they have gone out with their friends in the evening, throughout the day they have been like a good boy at home eating veg. शाम को एक बारी निकल के वो एक फ्राई, एक चिकन पकोड़ा, एक मोगलाई खा के वापस आके फिर से बोला, no, I have not had anything. I will remain a vegetarian throughout the day. But I have also done this, and strangely, वो छुप के झूठ बोल के वो खाने का जो स्वाद होता था, right? That chicken pakora used to be most swadist on that day only. I don't know.
I'll tell you a really this confession time. Okay, बचपन में जब रमजान के टाइम पर रोजे रखता था ना, तो अच्छा गर्मी है हमेशा ही रखती थी, तो कभी कभी ना बिल्कुल अनबेरेबल हो जाती है, दैट यू रियली वांट वाटर, राइट? आपको नींद भी नहीं आ रही, कभी कभी होता है कि अच्छा बॉडी में डिहाइड्रेट हो गए इतना कि आप अपने आप ही सो जाओगे, बट वो भी नहीं आ रही है, नींद भी नहीं आ रही है क्योंकि लाइट नहीं है, वॉट एवर रीजन, ठीक है। मैंने किया है 2-4-6 बारी एंड आई एम नॉट प्राउड ऑफ इट, बट मैंने बचपन में किया है दैट अच्छा घर में सब लोगों ने रोजा रखा हुआ है, सबकी चल रहे हैं प्रॉपर्ली, सब लोग बिल्कुल अपने अपने रूटीन पे हैं और आपको लग रही है भूख या प्यास, तो आप क्या करेंगे? तो मैंने ना ऐसा छुप के पानी का बोतल या फिर कुछ भी लेके भाग गया बाथरूम में, ठीक है, एंड इन द वॉशरूम आई विल बी ड्रिंकिंग वाटर and I literally gulped down the whole bottle of the water because इतनी जोर की प्यास लग रही है। और फिर दिन भाई हमने फिर वैसे झाड़ छोड़ के आगे बाहर कुछ नहीं, हमें कहाँ कुछ हुआ है, nobody knows। और फिर बिल्कुल फिर चले जाओ क्रिकेट खेलने, क्या ही अब तो तोड़ ही दिया तुमने तुम्हारा रोजा, तो ये कांड मैंने भी किया है।
So also what happens is that during the pujo, when if cooking used to happen at home, if ma used to cook in food and pujo, when we speak about two important aspects to touch upon, I believe, is that if ma used to cook, I think ma also used to get bored of cooking the same dish throughout the year जो वो पकाती थी. So we knew कि pujo में there would be एक दो चीज which ma will experiment and try for the some time, right? For the first time rather. और this was not being judgmental और वो सब होता नहीं था, because again we are talking about a time when we are growing up, there were not much options, there were no Swiggy, Zomato, nothing, right? So what used to happen is that no matter what, माँ कुछ special, कुछ अनोखा, कुछ नई बना रही है, the excitement was huge. You know something new is getting made,
something special.
For her mom, for my mom-in-law, another aspect of pujo is that you don't buy her new clothes, or she won't buy new clothes, it's okay. She won't see any pandal or any Durga Thakur, it's okay, right? But she has to cook the Ashtami bhog herself for the community.
Nice.
That is her nirvana state, so we all have
मतलब
moments
कुछ
of,
भी हो जाए, माँ has to make the bhog.
and for that she will start at 4 a.m. in the morning. She will maintain the fast because she is cooking. She would wake up
You
4
can't
a.m. in the
eat.
morning. You cannot eat while you are cooking. She will take
Correct.
a shower, dress up in new clothes, and go and cook, and come back late in the afternoon home after everything is done.
तो अच्छा, apart from the Pujo ना, जो कि of course everybody likes Durga Puja, I am really curious to know कि if both of you have to pick one of your favorite festival, and it could be across, or it could be a Bengal festival or Ghoti, right? Which one that would be?
For me, it would be post Shankranti.
And what is that?
Shankranti, like in January when there is
Correct.
the harvest season, right?
Correct.
So Shankranti is the time where the rice is harvested and lot of food is cooked. Lot of different kinds of pithe and puri, like lot of sweets are cooked with rice flour and the gur, because Nolan gur.
Correct.
Nolan gur is Khejur gur is from that season, from winter, and coconut, and there is such a wide variety of different kinds of pithe puli. We call it pithe puli. Like Pati Shatta is one of your pithe puli. Okay, Pati Shatta is a pithe. So there's such a wide variety. Then there are the savory ones also. So for me, that is like the biggest, because for 7-10 days, every day there is something new, something different, which is cooking, and it's only cooked during that period. It's not something that we cook round
throughout the year.
It's just during those 10-12 days during Shankran, like in January, till such time, I think, till the end of January, when the goods, you don't get and it becomes a little hot, from till those 10-15 days, we are just every day, morning, evening, night, like three times. There's different kinds of, I would say it's like a fun food for a child. It's like a fun food.
Yeah.
So those 10-12 days are, I think, my favorite in terms of food, if you're talking about, So that's mine. I don't know about
it. Okay, so for me, I think there are a couple which should be a one-day festival, but definitely Saraswati Puja. Saraswati Puja, why? I will tell you, is Saraswati Puja was the first exposure for me, for a lot of boys, to organize a pujo and get your first management lessons. We always say that by organizing a pujo, you get your first management lessons. You are marketing, you are handling finances, you are doing the supply chain, you are doing the execution, production, uske baad customer satisfaction also, right? but then what happens is the Saraswati Puja was thrilling because we used to go to school, and all of us, all the batchmates, all the classmates, to sit down together to have khichuri, torkari, papor bhaja, and tomato chutney.
Not tomato. Kule chutney. That's chutney.
Yeah.
Is different.
Kule chutney, right? And all of us sitting together. So young days, there used to be competition who can have the most, who can have the best. So ek ke baad ek, right? So that used to happen. So again, Saraswati Puja, for lunch, most of the Bengali household would prefer a khichuri.
Yeah.
It's must. Khichuri, begun bhaja, aloo bhaja, everything coming in, right? Vegetarian, but delicious. Dollop of ghee from the top. The smell comes out. Have to have it, right? And we force it to an extent to our kids also, because you need to understand that there are food significant to the days. We know why we are eating, and this should bring back memories. Number 2, Bhai Dooj or Bhai Phota. The Bhai Dooj or Bhai Phota, I say everyone, like you and to all my friends who are outside Calcutta, if you have got a sweet tooth, the best time to come to Calcutta is during Bhai Phota. Each and every sweet shop will have extended counter. The production starts 7 days back. The variety of sweets that you will find on that day in Calcutta and in Bengal, you would not find throughout the year. It's like it's a crazy sweet fest, literally crazy sweet fest. So you go to take your phota or the tilak, right? Tilak from your sister. The first thing they would do is that they would offer you a plate which will have at least 10 different types of sweets.
और ये सब खाना पड़ेगा?
Yes.
अच्छा. तब तो भाई देख लो, जिस कलकत्ता चले जाओ भैया. I grew up, of course, Sankranti or Shankranti, Saraswati Puja or Saraswati Puja. और both I used to love Sankranti because आज भी I have continued this tradition. मेरे लिए सारे फेस्टिवल खाने के आसपास ही, इट डजंट मैटर कौन सा है. तो सुबह सवेरे उठा, वो चूड़ा या फिर पोहे, दही एंड गुड़.
Oh, I love that.
That's my
Along,
breakfast.
yeah.
Along
I
with
love
whatever
that.
other ingredients you want, but these are the basic, मतलब OG breakfast muesli. तो बचपन में एक वो था, स्टील का एक बोल आता था, और वो बोल मैंने आज तक सेव करके रखा हुआ, उसमें ही खाता हूँ. पता नहीं क्यों फील आती है, बट सेम बोल. एंड रिगार्डिंग सरस्वती पूजा, तो सेम थिंग कि सरस्वती पूजा में 2-3 चीजें, पढ़ाई उस दिन होनी नहीं है, तो आपके स्कूल के आसपास में, या तो आप मोस्ट लाइकली कि आपके स्कूल में ही सरस्वती पूजा हो रही है, और अगर नहीं हो रही है तो बाजू में कहीं पर एक पंडाल बना हुआ है, और वहां पर सरस्वती माता बैठी हुई है. आप किताब लाल कपड़े बांध के दे दीजिए उनको कि भाई पढ़ाई लिखाई खत्म. And then you line up for the prasad. And Kool-Aid, of course, which is also called the beer. Till date, I love beer. मतलब, लेकिन sorry, I should clarify. बेर की अचार, Kool-Aid अचार जिसको बोलते हैं. I don't like beer. बहुत ही अजीब टाइप का स्मेल आने लगता है. But also the kind of beer that I'm talking about is the local जंगली Kool-Aid.
The छोटा वाला.
हाँ, not that Botox वाला. Not that दिल्ली में जो.
No, I don't like that. The छोटा वाला.
Correct. I call it like a Botox वाला, जो green वाला, जो Botox करके थे, बिल्कुल जिम जाके मोटा हो जाता है, वो वाला नहीं. That is, I don't listen to like, but the Kool-Aid is beautiful. अभी भी CR Park, I go there and भाई साहब एक Kool-Aid वाला वो दे दो, अचार का दे दो. तो I have my own thing for loving both of these things.
Yeah.
खैर.
And we were not allowed to, Sadaf. We were not allowed to touch
Kool before the Pujo. If you do that, you will flunk.
Yeah.
100% results guaranteed. We were told कि कुछ भी जितना भी पढ़ लो, अगर Kool खा लिया तो हो गया, बिल्कुल हो गया.
Yeah.
That's an interesting ritual.
Yeah. So I don't know, probably to save the harvest, because kids would pluck it from the trees and have them, or what the reason was, but this is what we were told. Also, another tradition of Saraswati Puja in many households, mostly Bengal households, is to buy Joda Ilish or two.
That's the onset of the Ilish.
So that is the onset of the Ilish. So
ये Lakshmi Puja जो अभी होगा 4-5 दिन दुर्गा पूजा के बाद, they will offer Ilish there. That's the after that they say that you don't buy then, right? And then you buy then you start from Saraswati Puja that time.
Oh, so वो जो दो इलिश लिया आपने, फिर उसको क्या करेंगे?
वो खाना है.
अच्छा, खाना है.
मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि
हाँ, but उसके बाद end, फिर इलिश का सीजन over. Then you come back in January. Oh, nice. Now we are towards the end of our podcast, और हमारे end of podcast में मेरा favorite segment आता है, which is to know about the little controversial. कोई controversial देता नहीं है. मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ controversial है, कोई controversial करके जाता नहीं है. कैसे चलेगा ऐसे? Is over, under and favorite food. So overrated food, underrated food, and favorite food. Now, because to talk about the Bengali food, not Bengali food, the Bengali food, तो उसमें ही शुरू करते हैं कि overrated सबसे ज्यादा क्या है? And I want to make it controversial, and hence ऐसे आप लोग पढ़ेगा तो
I don't say, I'm saying right now, it's Kasha Mangsho is 100% overrated.
Overrated.
100% overrated. I mean, there's so much more to Bengali food, or just our mangsho jhol. Actually, the jhol that we make.
There is a mangsho jhol. There is a Niramish mangsho, which actually gets cooked in Kalighat, which is
far better than Kasha Mangsho.
Which is way better.
But somehow Kasha Mangsho has become more popular, and it's sort of become.
This is for all
for Bengali.
This is for all the listeners. Stop attributing Kasha Mangsho as the Bengali. It was never Bengali.
But I have to say, he makes a brilliant Kasha Mangsho.
हमें कैसे पता चलेगा?
आपको आना पड़ेगा.
हम नवंबर में आएंगे तो बताएंगे. Awesome. And underrated?
Underrated, I think it's our vegetarian food.
Bati chachari.
Bati chachari, bolo anything, yeah. Like, yeah, I mean, when it comes to vegetarian food, people talk about only the shukto and the chachari, but then there is so much more. There is so much more. I think in recent times, with all the bhottas and the bhates, makhas, they have suddenly started coming into the limelight. People are talking about it because of social media, and a few restaurants also taking them up, and a few chefs also doing things about them, and MasterChef Australia doing, panta bhat and making it so popular.
वो बना, मुझे आज तक समझ में नहीं आया है
हाँ.
कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया में जाके लोगों ने बना दिया, सिंपल सा फूड दे दिया, ऐसा पांता भात टाइप का, तो अरे बिल्कुल अर्थ शटरिंग, और यहाँ हम बना के थक गए थे, तो मतलब नहीं ऐसे कैसे बनाते हैं, ऐसे नहीं,
ये क्या,
अभी
हाँ, तो वही
वापस से मास्टर शेफ सीजन आ रहा है, आई एम श्योर उनका भी होगा, नहीं भी वो देसी खाना बना के और हम इंटरनेशनल बना दें, यार कहानी कंसेप्ट ही गड़बड़ हो गया है। सो दैट्स देयर। एंड फेवरेट, अच्छा सेपरेट चाहिए फेवरेट है, एक साथ नहीं चाहिए, अलग अलग, जस्ट लाइक योर म्यूजिक अलग अलग है ना, तो खाना भी अलग अलग होगा, खत्म।
हाँ, बिल्कुल।
या फेवरेट
फूड, माय फेवरेट फूड, difficult, Sadaf. I'm just thinking.
कौन सा चुने?
Anything and everything for me, anything and everything with Ilish March.
With Ilish March? तो जब इलिश नहीं मिलेगा तब?
अब तो वही हो गया है कि Ilish is now acting like that love affair which I know is soon going to end, right? तो अभी हंसी because it has become so costly that I get to meet only once in a year. It has become so costly, but Ilish is something I think क्या होता है ना कि जिंदगी में जो आसानी से नहीं मिलता है उनके लिए क्रेविंग बहुत ज्यादा रहता है।
करेक्ट, पॉइंट तो है।
जैसे आप हमसे बात नहीं करते हो, हमने इतना तकलीफ उठा के भी आपके खिदमत में आ गए क्योंकि ये सदफ जी है, राइट? इज द सेम वे कि इलिश के साथ भी वैसा है कि जिस दिन इलिश आते हैं
हो गया मेरा बिल्कुल।
इलिश जिस दिन आते हैं, we are very from morning, I think we can start smelling about it. वो जैसा ना, it's like a ritual, right? वो अच्छा से नहा धो के, वैसे तो हर रोज नहाते हैं, बच्चे नहाते नहीं है वो अलग बात है, हम तो बड़े हो चुके हैं, हर रोज नहा धो के अच्छा कपड़े वपड़े पहन के आज it's like a ritual.
अच्छा, और आपको इलिश नहीं बोलना, इलिश हो गया एक में, इलिश ले लिया,
इलिश हो गया, but then I do love Ilish, but I love different Ilish preparation than him. Like he likes
Bengal Ghoti,
shorshe bata, he likes it in shorshe, but I like my Ilish in a nice patla jhol with begun, with brinjals. That is like heaven for me, and Ilish mach bhaja, of course, with the tel.
Wait, so you like Ilish with brinjal?
Brinjal, and it's a jhol, it's like a patla tail jhol, it's like a tail jhol.
Correct.
Close, someone is over.
Nice. So, because I mean, I have never had Ilish and brinjal together.
It's brilliant. It's just outstanding. It's also mind blowing.
So they say in the Ilish chol, since it's not much cooked, there is not much flavoring. The original flavor of Ilish remains intact, and that's the best way to have it. Contrary to shorshe or the mustard one, where you do a heavy dose of shorshe with the shorshe tel. So at times it will overcast the original flavor of the fish.
Wow. Okay.
Which is a debatable fact, but it's like at the same time there was a Rekha ji and a Sridevi ji ruling the screen, right? So let's not get into the debate. Let's enjoy them.
Let's like Rekha and Sridevi more at the same time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I do like my for me my comfort food is simple Govindabhog rice with a little bit of aloo makha, which is aloo bhate, which is like your chokha, aloo chokha.
Correct.
Along with that ghee or butter. That is my comfort food. There's nothing which tops that.
Clearly, like khichdi, and this is on top of the food chain for both of you at least.
Yeah.
Awesome. On that really happy food dose, हम करते हैं दुकान बंद करने से पहले पिक्चरनामा on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, या फिर कहीं और कुछ और भी हैं आप?
Twitter is not Pikturenama.
Twitter is Anindya 0909. Okay. Pikturenama is the Instagram handle. Facebook is also Pikturenama. आपके खिदमत में हाजिर है। तो भाई देखिए, ऐसे फॉलो कर ले, शो नोट में उनका लिंक है, तो जाएं। दे विल मेक यू फील लॉट मोर हंग्रियर। आई एम जस्ट सेइंग, डिस्क्लेमर दे देता हूँ। क्या खूबसूरत रीले बना दें लोग, बता देता हूँ। खैर, कलकत्ता जाए तो इनसे मिले, और नहीं तो हमसे मिल लें। ऑन दैट नोट, दुकान करते हैं बंद।
If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network.
You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com.
You can also follow us on our social media. We are @IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram.
And if you want to reach out to me on Twitter, I am Hussain Sadaf1, and on Instagram, I am Sadaf_Hussain. You can reach out to Archit
on Twitter @BandTofu and on Instagram at the rate The Hustling Glutton.